What's going on, guys? It's Jet from the Sanctum squad. So today we're going to be looking at the brand new Killer Tuna art type that was revealed earlier this morning. It's from the Phantom Revenge's deck build pack that releases in the end of August in the OCG. I think it's the 23rd of August, and then it releases in December in the TCG. So yeah, this is a pretty cool theme. So like, I've already read them and I've already sort of like just had a look at like other cards to see if they're sort of mixed with this deck very well. It's a deck completely comprised of tuna monsters, and all of the synchro monsters require tuna monsters plus tuna monsters, and there are also some cards that lock you into only summoning tuna monsters. So bear that in mind when we read the cards, because it'll add a bit of more context to them. So for the first card, we've got Killer Tune Mix, which is a level 2 Wind Warrior monster. It's a tuna monster, of course. You can search it on Rota because it's Warrior. And then all of the main deck monsters and one of the extra deck monsters has this effect. If this card on the field would be used as synchro material, one tuna in your hand can be used as one of the other materials, which is a pretty cool effect. It means that you don't have to put two bodies on the field to go into your extra deck. You can just summon one guy and then play from there. Which is very good. It means that you don't need to have like endless extenders and stuff that like a lot of decks have nowadays. And then it also says, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Killer Tune monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except for a level 2 monster. So it can't search itself, and it can't search the next card, which is a little bit unfortunate because that card is very cool. But it can search the level 3 monster, which is very good. And then it says, if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. This effect is very good just going second in general for breaking boards. But also, spoiler, this is a turn 0 synchro summon, it's like a Phymena but for synchro monsters. So yeah, so like you actually have ways of triggering this card turn 0, which is very cool. And there are ways of just activating this card when you're like on your opponent's turn in general. Like even when you've gone first and set up your own board, you're probably going to be triggering this on your opponent's turn 1. So yeah, this card's very good. This card is also mentioned, like this card specifically is required as one of the materials on one of the synchro monsters. So you can use synchro overtake to summon this straight out of the deck, and it'll trigger its effect because it doesn't negate the effect. So you've already got an additional consistency card right there with synchro overtake, which is very cool. So yeah, that's it for Mix. And then we got Killer Tune Clip. So it has the same effect as the other monster. So if it's used as synchro material, you can use a tuna monster in your hand as like material as well. And then it says, during your opponent's main phase quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon one tuna. So I did have a look to see if there were any other like tuna monsters that exist in the game. That you could potentially like make with this, and there are basically none. So this card is only ever going to be really summoning Killer Tune synchro monsters on your opponent's turn, which is fine because if you synchro using like this card, you're going to get like the pop effect, but you're only going to be able to go into the level 4 synchro. Whereas if you use it to make this one gets you into one of the core synchros, that's like a negate on the opponent's turn. So like I think just as a first impression, I think when you go second, you want to draw this card and you want to draw this card because you're going to get quite a bit of disruption from it. But yeah, so and then it says, if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can banish one random face down card from your opponent's extra deck. This effect is quite cool. It is a little bit abusable as well because there are a few cards in this deck that like copy effects. So you can activate this effect and then you can copy it and then you can potentially copy it again. So yeah, this card is cool. I'm not sure how impactful it's going to be because it seems like it's only going to be fantastic to like directly use with this card to pop a card or this card to summon the negate card. Which we'll talk about in a minute. So we got the next card, which is Killer Tune Rico. So it's a level 3 Fire Fiend tuner. This does mean that it is searchable off the Earthbound Stone Sweeper card because it searches Fiend tuner monsters. If you wanted that additional consistency boost, it's got the same effect where if it chooses synchro material, you can use a tuner in your hand as one of the other materials. And then it says, if it's normal or special summoned, you can add a Killer Tune monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand except for a level 3 monster, which is very good because it's basically like another mix where it's just a searcher but can't search a monster at the same level. And then this one says, when it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. Just again, good going second in general. Potentially good on turn 0 because you're going to like you can quick synchro on your opponent's turn. And then like when you set up your board, this card is probably going to be in your grave for you to trigger on your opponent's turn as well. So that effect is good. Like it kind of reminds me of Synchro Dracotail so far. Yeah, and then we got the first Synchro Monster, so it's a level 4. So it requires a killer tuner monster plus any tuner monster, like any other tuners. And then it says if it's got the same effects where you can synchro using your hand. But for each unique effects, it says if it's special summons, you can add a killer tune card from your deck to your hand, which is very good. It's just like a lot of decks have this nowadays, where there's just an extra deck card that is like an additional extender, or like searches like an engine piece. So this is just this deck's version of that. And then it says if it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can return one card your opponent controls to the hand, which is like obviously it's good just in general going second. Something that is a little bit iffy about this card is that it like there aren't many targets that so for instance, so say you've summoned this card, because like this is like the next few are like level 5 and this one's level 6. You've got like less options of what you can actually synchro this into, because of the levels of the other monsters in the main deck. So if you use it itself in a level 2, you can go into the level 6, but this card doesn't really work with the level 3 because there isn't a level 7 to make, and there isn't a level 7 synchro that exists in the game that you can use 2 tuners to make. So just bear that in mind. Yeah, since the graveyard, return a card your opponent controls to the hand. There is a card that lets you use this on the opponent's turn, but it's not like it's there's only one way to do that from what I can see. But this card is good. Yeah. And then we've got Killer Tune Remix. It's a Dark Warrior Synchro Tuner, and it requires Killer Tune Mix plus any number of tuners. So it's basically going to be Mix plus a level 3 9 times out of 10. And then it says it gains 1500 attack while your opponent has a tuner on their field or in the grave. So against Yumi, they have tuners. In the mirror match, you're going to boost. You're going to get the boost. And then if your opponent uses anything like an Ash Blossom or a Ghosto or a Veiler, obviously they're all tuner monsters, so they'll give you the boost as well. And then it says during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card, take 2 non-synchro tuner monsters from your grave, and then add one to your hand, and then summon the other. Then you can immediately synchro summon a tuner monster. Again, so like you're gonna be very restricted in what you can make, but the important part about this card, from what I can take from it, is that it's gonna trigger the effects of the monsters that you bring back. So you're gonna like add. So say for instance you add back this guy, and this guy, and then you can immediately synchro summon using both, and then this one will pop a back row, this one will pop a monster, and then you'll get the effect of the monster that you summon, which is going to be this guy, which we'll talk about in a sec. So yeah, this card is cool. So like just as a 1 card play, you can just use this level 2 guy, and then you're gonna search this one, Rico, and then you can synchro both into this card because it's Mix plus a level 3. And then on your opponent's turn, you can use this to tag both of these out, to tag itself out to summon this one and then add this one, say. And then you can synchro both into this card, and then that way you'll get a monster pop, a spell trap pop, and spoiler, this is an Omni Negate. So you get like quite a lot of disruption there. And that through a full loss, you only give them 1 draw as well, which is really nice. So yeah, this card's good. I think just very good. And then we got Killer Tune Red Seal, which is the cover card for the pack. So we got Killer Tune Rico plus 1 tuners. So it's basically going to be a level 2 monster plus Rico. It gains 300 attack for each tuner in the graveyard. So it's probably going to get quite big because obviously every monster in the archetype is a tuner, and then it counts your opponent's grave as well. And then it says the levels of monsters your opponent controls with 1700 or less original attack are increased by 1. So it basically makes all of the Yumi monsters level 2, so that it makes it like awkward for them to synchro and stuff like that. And then the important part of this effect is during the main phase quick effect, you can banish 1 tuner from your graveyard, then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn. So it's basically like a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss with a cost. But yeah, this card is excellent. Nothing bad to say about that card. And then we've got Killer Tune Loudness War. So this one is the only synchro monster that doesn't require a Killer Tune monster as material. So you can use potentially like Synchro Monsters to make it or whatever. So yeah, it says other tuners you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target them with card effects. This is fine. Would have been a little bit better if it counted itself as well. But then it says, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can banish one Killer Tune monster from your graveyard. Apply its effect that activates when it's sent to the grave as synchro material. So this is the way that you're going to use this guy's graveyard effect on your opponent's turn, because it's this is the one that lets you bounce a card when it hits the grave. This could, like, banishing this is going to let you pop a back row. This is going to let you attack their extra deck, and this is going to let you pop a card, pop a monster. So this card is fine. This card is also mentioned on one of the spells as well, so we'll come back to it. Yeah, and then we've got Killer Tune Synchro. So you can only activate 2 cards with this card's name per turn, which is quite cool. A hard twice per turn. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except for tuners. So this is one of the hard locks that this deck has. And then it says, also add 1 Killer Tune card from your deck to your hand, except for another copy of itself. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon 1 tuner. So very good, searches every card in the archetype. And it's also not just a consistency card, but it's also like you can use it as like a trap card. So you can flip it on your opponent's turn to search one and then perform your synchro summon. So it's a little bit like a Dragon Tail Ketu, but it's quick play, which is I think that's fantastic. I think this card's excellent. And then we've got the field spell, Duke Joint Killer Tune. So it's got 3 effects. So during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 tuner in addition to your normal summoner set. So obviously it doesn't mention Killer Tune there, like you can potentially splash other tuner monsters in this deck. And then it says Killer Tune Loudness War you control gains 3,300 attack while your opponent has a tuner on the field or in the grave. So this guy becomes massive. And then it says you contribute 1 tuner monster, add to your hand or special summon 1 Killer Tune monster from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except for tuners. So it's the same lock as the other spell. And I think like this card is going to be pretty good for like playing through like hand traps and stuff. Just say your normal summon a guy gets hand trapped, you can then use this to tribute the monster and then just special summon another Killer Tune and continue playing. But yeah, so like obviously this card, and then you got like Synchro Overtake. This is where you're going to give like more draws off something like a more Charmy Furlos. And then the last card is Killer Tune Playlist. So you can only activate 2 cards with this name per turn. Again, a hard twice per turn card. And it says target 1 Killer Tune monster you control or in your graveyard, and then apply these effects in sequence. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn after it resolves, except for tuners. Apply its effect that activates when it's sent to the grave as synchro material. So again, this is another card that lets you mimic effects like the level 6 synchro does. So this is going to be potentially how you like spam the effective clip to banish your opponent's extra deck away. And then it says return it to the hand. So you copy the effect and then you bounce it to your hand, which is quite cool. I'm not sure if this card, like maybe a one-off. I'm not sure if this card gets played, but these could potentially be 3-ofs. I think like every other card in the deck could potentially be a 3-of, which is nice. It means the cards are good. So yeah, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of these cards and which deck out of this pack you're the most excited to come out. So yeah, cheers.